What's going on, you guys? TBR here, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to another King of Fighters All-Star video, and happy Monday to all of you out there. I hope you all enjoyed your weekends. In today's video, we are going to be taking a look at one of the two new SS characters to be added into the King of Fighters All-Star with the SS Volume 5 banner, and that of course is going to be Blue Mary. In today's video, I'm going to give you guys a few bits of footage with this character, as I've had several days now to play test her, and man, I am pretty impressed with this character's performance, even at Awakening Level 1. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. But before we get into all of that and more, make sure if you guys haven't already done so, you smash that like button and subscribe, and you guys already know what time it is. Cue the intro. Alright, you guys, welcome back to the channel, and like I mentioned in the introduction, we are going to be doing the showcase for Blue Mary today. Now, do not get confused, this is not going to be the spotlight for Blue Mary, as that is usually the formal review that we do here on the channel. We won't be doing that until later on this week or next week, because I am planning on going back in on the SS Volume 5 banner. I've just been waiting to get the rest of my push login tickets before I do that, just so I kind of know what I have to invest. So that's what we're planning on doing with this banner. However, I wanted to go ahead and take today as the opportunity to go ahead and give you guys the showcase for this character. So basically, I'll go ahead and I'll break down my thoughts on this character, kind of my first impressions with her after I've been able to play her for the past couple of days, and then I'll get into the footage and I'll let you guys watch that in full and I'll get out of here. But I just want to go ahead and talk about a few things that I've observed with this character, and then we'll get into the build, and then you guys can enjoy the footage. So the first thing I want to talk about as it pertains to SS Blue Mary here is what I have noticed with her as far as things such as Guild Raid, which is of course going to be a topic and a game mode that a lot of people are always interested in the performance of these characters in. And as you guys are going to be able to see, and as you guys have probably already seen on YouTube from other creators, this character's performance against Nightmare Geese, in particular the Lunatic difficulty, and we had already theorized this on day one whenever we went ahead and did our Should You Summon, or our breakdown of the update, whatever you want to call it. When it came to this banner, we talked about the fact that this character, just based on the kit alone, looking through the cores, looking through the skill breakdowns, this character was going to be an absolute goddess against Nightmare Geese in Lunatic difficulty, and that's exactly what this character is. You guys are going to be able to see that in the footage that I show you today. Basically, this character's shield shred is absolutely absurd against Nightmare Geese. There's even an opportunity in there if you build this character up strong enough to where you don't even need to use your finishers against Nightmare Geese. Her shield shred is so good that you can just go in, and because you have these cores here, this one that decreases your active skill cooldowns by 0.5 seconds when attacking a shock target, and then this new effect, which is this stun fang on the freelance agent core, you're going to be able to drop the shield like crazy. So what you can pretty much do is you can go in and you can just loop through your skills, because you're constantly lowering your cooldowns whenever you're attacking him because of this core, and you're doing so much damage to him because she does have shock and she does have this stun fang. You're going to notice that the shield just drops like that. So in that footage, you guys are going to notice even at A1, I only have to use my finishers a couple of times, and really that's just because she isn't strong enough quite yet at Awakening Level 1 against that Nightmare Geese to be able to keep up with that pace as much as she would be as if she was at Awakening Level 2 or 3, which at that point you wouldn't even probably have to use a finisher. You could just go in and just spam down his shield. Now, one thing about this character, speaking of spam, the one big thing I've noticed about her that I'm not as big a fan of is her awakening rotation. So her awakening rotation is good and bad. And by that, what I mean, basically, this character's skill animations, and some people say that she's a little bit bugged with her animations and there's some wonky stuff going on, and I could believe that, but really with this character's skill rotations on the awakening spam, this isn't a character that you can just kind of cycle through all of your skills very well with and do that much damage. It's really unfortunate, but her overall skill animations don't really donate so well to an awakening spam rotation. So instead, what you end up wanting to do is keep these two skills active, your S2 and your S3, but you want to usually just lean on your S1 and spam that thing a lot on that awakening rotation, and just kind of keep your cooldowns off when it comes to these things here, so that way you can kind of keep these other effects going. So that's kind of what you're looking at with her awakening rotation. That isn't anything that's too out of the ordinary for some of these characters, but you can go in, because of her overall build, you can go in with this S1 on an awakening rotation, and you can just fire this thing off constantly. So you aren't really going to have any downtime, as long as you're playing her correctly and you have the right build. You can pretty much just with that awakening rotation spam this S1 consistently and constantly, and like I said, just keep the S2 and the S3 thrown in there maybe every 4 or 5 knocks of that S1, and then you can go ahead and just keep going. But in general, his character's performance in guild raid against Nightmare Geese is absolutely phenomenal, and I would say that honestly right now, as far as shock units are concerned, this is probably the best dedicated shock unit in the game currently available, and that's just based on what little I've been able to experience firsthand with her at Awakening level 1. Now, other things that you're going to see in this video today, I am going to run her through the new SS time attack. Now, this character is able to get SS rank on that SS time attack at Awakening level 1. However, it is very difficult. It's definitely not something that is her forte. This is a character, because her awakening rotation is a little bit wonky, against some of these smaller bosses, you're going to notice, especially if there's multiple targets on the screen, her awakening spam is not necessarily fun to use, because she's just going to hop all over the screen like she just had adrenaline injected straight into her eyeballs. It's really, really weird. She's just going to kind of just bounce across the screen and maybe miss a lot of targets a lot of the time. So you got to be a little bit careful with how you're using her. You can't just mash buttons as well or as easily with her as you would with some of these other characters. So that isn't really necessarily that big of a deal. It just means that you need to pay more attention whenever you're using her. But in general, she is going to be able to get the job done there. It's just one of those situations, like I mentioned, where it's definitely not as easy as it would be with some of these other characters, specifically for the SS time attack. Mainly Terry, of course, is going to be the other option there, and he's just going to be better for it in general. But at the end of the day, it should be coming as no surprise that this character, because of how strong she is able to get the SS rank even at Awakening level 1. So with that being said, I do want to talk about a few other things with this character, mainly the build. So we're going to talk about the build here. Now, this is the build that I am going to be using in all the footage that you guys are going to see today. So basically what you're going to see is I do have the Shizuru set here. Now, there's plenty of different options that you can use for this character. I unfortunately do not have the newest card set to try and use on her. I know a lot of people are enjoying using that set with this character, but unfortunately that set I do not have yet. So depending on how our summoning video goes later on this week, that may or may not happen. However, I'm definitely not planning on going out of my way to pick it up, because like I've already mentioned in the past, I'm not going to get into it, but really I am trying to save up as much as I can right now for future events. Now, another thing to notice here is I am using these two option cards here. So I'm using the Kula option card and the Gintama option card. Those are pretty much the two option cards that have been stuck on her since I got her. So that's pretty much what you're seeing there. Not anything too out of the ordinary or surprising. Those are pretty much going to be standard fare for a lot of these SS characters. Now, as far as the stone is concerned, I talked to somebody about this in my comments the other day. I did go ahead and put an attack circle stone on her from the new Volume 5 stones. Now, the reason I went attack here is there's a couple reasons. Usually attack is the way to go no matter what, so that's kind of the first thing that I fall back on. But the other thing, and the other big reason why I usually just go straight attack stones for my characters, unless it's something that's a specific instance, is because I want to have the ability later on, if I want to swap these stones onto other characters that I might prefer. So usually that's going to mean you're going to want an attack stone 99% of the time. So that's why I decided to go this route, just so I could kind of future-proof this stone. That way I don't have to really worry about it down the line if I ever want to use it on somebody else. But that's what I went with there. That's what I have on my Blue Mary, and that is going to be the card set and the card options that you are going to see reflected in the footage that we're about to look at. But overall, this character is also really good against the new guild dungeon. That's another place where this character is going to shine. And in general, this character, even at Awakening level 1, I would say that my opinion is inconclusive thus far, because it's kind of tough to be able to gauge exactly how this character is going to stack up to other characters. However, I can already tell you guys that this would be a character that I would give a glowing review to. For the most part, there would be several different things I would definitely knock against her, and things that I'm not as big a fan of, mainly just her skill animations and her awakening spam on her rotation isn't necessarily feeling the best in the world, but even then, this character is still going to be quite strong. And in general, I think that if you do have her, like I already mentioned, I was able to go ahead at Awakening level 1 with that build, go through, get SS on the SS time attack. I was also able to get through the entire tower, which I will show you guys level 30 of that tower in the footage that you're about to see as well using her. So in general, there's not much I can complain about right now, even at a low awakening level. As we've already talked about, this character's typing makes her very good for things such as high levels of Reviving Hell's Dungeon, and she does have a very interesting, albeit niche, leadership skill. But in general, this is a really good character, and I think that a lot of the reason why this character is as strong as she is going to boil down to the fact that she can just go in and abuse, I mean absolutely abuse these cores. These cores are very strong. We talked about that in the initial breakdown of the update, how good those cores looked on paper. And then when you get into the skills, as far as the effects are concerned, are really good. But like I said, the animations, yikes. Sometimes they can be your own worst enemy, we'll put it that way. But in general, you guys, that is pretty much what I'm thinking about Blue Mary. Now, if you want to see my fame real quick, we'll get into that. But this is going to be the fame that I have. Of course, this is my blue here, so not necessarily as high as some of these other ones, especially my green or my yellow, but that's what you're looking at there. So that is pretty much going to be it for the introduction for the video, you guys. I hope you found it informative. I'm going to go ahead and get into the footage now, but if you guys are interested, I will be doing another summoning video on the SS Volume 5 banner later on this week. Like I said, I've just been waiting to get all my tickets. Once that happens, I will feel more comfortable kind of reassessing at that point what it is I'm going to need. So anyway, you guys, that's something to look forward to later on this week, but I hope you guys enjoy the footage. I will see you all in the next one. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.
引いてる カンペに